आंटी
क्या
देखो, जो कवर का कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है।
आईटीबीपी नगर प्रशासन सभी के द्वारा और दिरांग की जनता केंद्रीय हिमालय संस्कृति शिक्षण संस्थान के द्वारा सभी अध्यापक गणों भद्रजनों के द्वारा हम माननीय मुख्य अतिथि जी का हार्दिक अभिनंदन स्वागत करते हैं। माननीय मुख्य अतिथि जी का आगमन हमारे बीच हो गया है। केंद्रीय हिमालय संस्कृति शिक्षण संस्थान में पधारे हुए केंद्रीय गृह राज्य मंत्री जी का और केंद्रीय आज मंत्री हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूं और जनता से अपील करता हूं कि जोरदार तालियों के साथ उनका स्वागत करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, आपने हमारे आग्रह को स्वीकार कर हमारे कार्यक्रम को जो शोभा प्रदान की है उसके लिए हम बहुत ही आभारी हैं। केंद्रीय हिमालय संस्कृति शिक्षण संस्थान दाहुं भारत सरकार की एक स्वायत्त शासित संस्था है जो संस्कृति मंत्रालय के अधीन है। यह संस्कृति मंत्रालय भारत सरकार ने एक बौद्ध संस्कृति महोत्सव मनाने के लिए एक जिम्मेदारी हम लोगों को दिया था। उसके मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में हम भारत सरकार के केंद्रीय गृह राज्य मंत्री के रूप में श्री रिजिजू साहब को आमंत्रित किए थे। सर ने हमारे आग्रह को स्वीकार कर हमारा इतना मान बढ़ाया, हम इसके लिए बहुत ही आभारी हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। स्वागत वंदन, हार्दिक अभिनंदन। एक बार जोरदार तालियों के साथ पुनः गृह राज्य मंत्री जी का स्वागत करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। इतने परंपरागत सर से अनुरोध करता हूँ कि कृपया वे आसन ग्रहण करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। भारत सरकार के केंद्रीय गृह राज्य मंत्री श्री किरेन रिजिजू जी का ही उनके गृह राज्य में बौद्ध सांस्कृतिक महोत्सव में मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में पधार कर न केवल राज्य या इस जिले बल्कि पूरे देश के पटल पर अरुणाचल प्रदेश को व्यापक रूप से प्रतिष्ठित कर दिया है। इसीलिए माननीय मुख्य अतिथि को हम विशेष आभारी, ऋणी और कृतज्ञ महसूस कर रहे हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, आपने हमारे आग्रह को स्वीकार कर हमारे इस कार्यक्रम को शोभा बढ़ाने में जो प्रयास लगाया है, हम उसके लिए बहुत ही आभारी हैं।
हमारे पास नहीं आज कौन है आज तिवारी जी।
इस परंपरागत
कोई असिस्टेंट होगा
स्वागत नृत्य के द्वारा ही हम सदियों से अपने मेहमानों का स्वागत करते आए हैं। यह इस क्षेत्र विशेष मूल विशेष का विशेष गौरव है और यह गौरव इस क्षेत्र के लोगों के जीवन शैली, रहन सहन, खान पान और संस्कृति में झलकता है, जो हम यहाँ पर देख रहे हैं। समय की व्यस्तता है और माननीय मुख्य अतिथि के कार्यक्रम बहुत जगहों पे हैं, इसीलिए हम लोग कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हैं और सर्वप्रथम हम माननीय मुख्य अतिथि केंद्रीय गृह राज्य मंत्री, सांसद, जनप्रतिनिधि और हमारे इस क्षेत्र विशेष के नेता श्री किरेन रिजिजू जी, जो इस कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि हैं, उनके साथ साथ सम्मानित अतिथि के रूप में स्थानीय जनप्रतिनिधि और श्री फोरपा सिंह जी, जो यहाँ के संसदीय सचिव हैं, श्री दाबूजीरू जी, जो भी हमारे बोमडीला के जनप्रतिनिधि हैं, आप सभी को हम सम्मानित करने के लिए केंद्रीय हिमालय संस्कृत शिक्षण संस्थान दाहुंग के निदेशक महोदय श्री गेसिंग नमंग तासी बाबू जी से अनुरोध करते हैं कि आप तीनों अधिकारियों को, राजनेताओं को लेके मंच पर आएं और उनका स्वागत अभिनंदन करते हुए इस कार्यक्रम का शुभारंभ करें। जोरदार तालियों के साथ सर का हार्दिक अभिनंदन करिए। नगर की जनता राज्य मंत्री जी के गृह आगमन पर जनता हार्दिक बधाई देती है और हार्दिक अभिनंदन करती है। केंद्रीय हिमालय संस्कृत शिक्षण संस्थान अपनी तरफ से विशेष आभार व्यक्त करता है। अब मैं माननीय निदेशक महोदय से अनुरोध करता हूँ कि स्थानीय जनप्रतिनिधि और हमारे श्री आओ जी को धन्यवाद, माफ कीजिएगा, श्री जापूदिरी जी को। हम बहुत छोटे हैं आयु में, इसलिए बड़े लोग छोटे लोग की गलतियों को माफ करते रहते हैं। आओ फुलपा जी को सम्मानित करने के लिए मैं गेसिला को अनुरोध करता हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। 2 मिनट सर मंच पे रहते हुए हमारे इस कार्यक्रम का शुभारंभ दीप प्रज्वलन करने के साथ साथ करें। तो हम जैसी नमंग मंदिर से अनुरोध करते हैं कि दीप प्रज्वलन कराएं और इस कार्यक्रम का शुभारंभ कराएं। दूसरा दीपक से अनुरोध किया जाता है इस कार्यक्रम शुभारंभ करने में अपना सहयोग प्रदान करें। स्थानीय जनप्रतिनिधि से मैं अनुरोध करता हूँ कि आप भी एक दीप प्रज्वलित करके इस कार्यक्रम की जो परंपरा है उसको पूरा करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। केंद्रीय हिमालय संस्कृति शिक्षण संस्थान के सभी विद्यार्थियों से अनुरोध करता हूं कि मंगलाचरण गीत करके इस कार्यक्रम का शुभारंभ करें और मंगल ध्वनि मंगल गीत के द्वारा जो हमारी एक परंपरा है उसका शुभारंभ करें। हम अपने संस्थान के प्रशासनिक अधिकारी आकाश जी से और ओएसडी सर से अनुरोध करते हैं कि हमारे जितने भी आर्मी के अधिकारी और जिला प्रमुख, जिला कप्तान, पुलिस कप्तान जो लोग यहाँ पर उपलब्ध हैं, नगर प्रशासन के अधिकारी, उनका एक एक करके अलंकरण करते रहें। समय अभाव के कारण हम सभी विशेष को मंच पर बुलाकर एक एक करके अभिनंदित नहीं कर पा रहे हैं क्योंकि समय कम है, इसके लिए हम क्षमा प्रार्थी हैं। आकाश सर से मैं अनुरोध करता हूं और बोरा सर से अनुरोध करता हूं कि एक एक करके हमारे जितने भी गणमान्य माननीय अतिथि लोग उपस्थित हैं सभागार में, आप सभी का परंपरागत रूप से अभिनंदन करते रहें। मंगलाचरण आरंभ होने जा रहा है।
My homage to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Most respected Chief Guest, Sri Kiren Rijiju sir, Honorable Union Minister of State for Home Affairs, our guest of honor Sri Purpat Singh, Honorable Parliamentary Secretary, Hydropower Government of Arunachal Pradesh, and our special guest Sri Japudiro, our Honorable MLA, Pomdila Constituency, Sri Sringirme sir, former Minister, Government of Arunachal Pradesh, Sri R.K. Khimi sir, former Minister, Government of Arunachal Pradesh, DC West Kameng District, SP West Kameng District, ADC, departmental and institutional heads, public leaders, and all other distinguished guests and brothers and sisters. India, the land of saints and seers, has played the role of Jagat Guru for the centuries, especially in the field of spirituality. Among the many, Buddhism is one of the schools and the sects which were therefore the responsibility of India and its people to make contribution to present world by spreading the message of peace, non-violence and truth as propagated by Lord Buddha. This Buddha Sanskriti Mahotsava, organized by Government of India Ministry of Culture and coordinated by Central Institute of Himalayan Culture Studies Dahung, is the artistic and symbolic manifestation of the said message of the Buddhism in a large podium. We do believe that the artistic spiritual and cultural value of Buddhism will be best reflected by this Buddh Mahotsava with its strong and lasting appeal to most of the people at large. In this auspicious occasion, I wholeheartedly would like to welcome and extend thanks to Honorable Union Minister for State for Home Affairs, Sri Kiren Rijiju, for his valuable presence to inaugurate the Buddh Mahotsava as a chief guest. I wholeheartedly would like to welcome and extend thanks to Sri Purpal Singh Ji, Honorable Parliamentary Secretary, Hydropower Government of Arunachal Pradesh, for his grand supports and directions. I also would like to welcome all the distinguished guests and brothers and sisters to this 5 days Buddh Sanskriti Mahotsava. I would be failed in my responsibility if I don't thank local administration who has supported the organizing committee in making this event a successful one.
Boudh 我是别就让你也为。 श्री किरण रीजू जी, साथ में विराजमान इस जिला के बमदिला क्षेत्र के ऑनरेबल एमएलए, हमारे इस जिला के भूतपूर्व मंत्री श्री त्रिंजुने जी, इस जिला के बहुत ही सीनियर मंत्री भूतपूर्व श्री आर.के. जी, केशी वावांग ताशी जी, इस जिला के डिप्टी कमिश्नर एसपी साहब, दिरांग के पंचायत लीडर्स, गांव बुराज, पब्लिक लीडर्स, पैरामिलिट्री ऑफिसर्स, भाइयों और बहनों, सबसे पहले मैं पूरी दिरांग की ओर से मैं ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर, साथ में आपके साथ में आए हुए हमारे अगोला जी को यहाँ पे तहे दिल से स्वागत करना चाहूंगा। बड़े कम समय में यहाँ पे जो हमारे जो आयोजकों ने जो प्रबंध किया है, बड़ा कम समय में इन्होंने किया, उनको भी धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा। साथ ही साथ हम अपने आप को गर्व से कहते हैं कि हम मोनपा है, हम बुद्धिस्ट है। वाकई में मेरा अपना विचार है कि जो मंच हमें जो मिल रहा है, जो प्लेटफॉर्म हमें दिया जा रहा है भारत सरकार की ओर से, महोत्सव बहुत फेस्टिवल के रूप में, ये एक बहुत ही अच्छे प्लेटफॉर्म हमें दिया जा रहा है कि हम कहते हैं कि गर्व से कहते हैं कि हम बुद्धिस्ट है। सही मायने में जो बुद्धिस्ट है, हम नॉन वायलेंस पे हम विश्वास करते हैं, हम हिंसा से हम दूर रहते हैं। हम केवल ओम माने पहले हम कहने से हम बुद्धिस्ट नहीं होंगे। हम केवल मीट मच्छी को मारने बंद करने से हम बुद्धिस्ट नहीं होंगे। सही मायने में बुद्धिस्ट वो होंगे जो गरीब को मदद करे, जो दुखियारी है उनको हेल्प करे, जीव जंतु को ना मारे, पेड़ पौधे को ना काटे, तभी हम सही मायने में बहुत जो बुद्धिस्ट हम अपना को कह सकते हैं। वही सही मायने में बुद्धिस्ट कहते हैं जो जिसका मन साफ हो, और वाकई में हमें गर्व महसूस करना चाहिए कि जो प्लेटफॉर्म, जो मौका यहाँ पे दिया जा रहा है कि वास्तव में बुद्धिज्म क्या है, बुद्धिस्ट क्या है। तो ये बहुत ही एक अच्छा मेला होने जा रहा है। आने वाले 5 दिनों तक सभी से अनुरोध रहेगा, आप सब बढ़ चढ़ कर इसमें भागीदार बने, आप सहयोग करें। साथ ही साथ में इस मंच को मैं, समय का बहुत ही कमी है, ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर को अभी ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर जो हमारे जो बड़े भैया है किरण जी, आपके अंदर में जो बॉर्डर रोड भी आपके अंदर आते हैं भैया, यहाँ पे जो हम वेस्ट कामेंग के जो लोग हैं, हमें पूरे राज्य में हमें बहुत ही शांति, बहुत ही अच्छा, बहुत ही नेक, डिसिप्लिन हमें मानते हैं वेस्ट कामेंग जिला के लोगों को। लेकिन पिछले जो 15-16 वर्षों से जो रोड बन रहा है भैया, बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के जो लोग जो काम कर रहे हैं, वो आज भी उसी हालत में है जिस हालत में वो 15 वर्ष पहले था। तो भैया मैं इस मंच से मैं अनुरोध करना चाहूंगा कि हमारी जो रास्ता है बीआरओ, क्योंकि हमको, मेरा मानना है कि हमारा हर एक तरक्की, हमारा हर एक उन्नति रास्ता से जुड़ा हुआ है। तो इस मंच से मैं पूरी पब्लिक की ओर से, जिला की ओर से भैया मैं आपको अनुरोध करना चाहूंगा, वैसे आपके प्रयास के बाद कुछ बदलाव जरूर आया है। हमें विश्वास है अब एक डंडा और लाएगा तो पूरा रास्ता हमारा ठीक हो जाएगा। साथ ही साथ दिरांग में भैया सेंट्रल इंस्टीट्यूट फॉर टेम्परेट हॉर्टिकल्चर भी हम दिरांग को भारत सरकार की ओर से दिया गया है, तो वहां पे भी फंड मिलने के बावजूद भी अभी तक काम शुरू नहीं हो रहा है। भैया मैं आपको मैं अनुरोध करना चाहूंगा, आपका जो ऑफिस है उससे जितनी जल्दी हो सके एक ऑर्डर या एक रिक्वेस्ट आप इस सरकार को भेजें, ताकि जल्द से जल्द हमारे जो सपना है जो सेंट्रल इंस्टीट्यूट फॉर टेम्परेट हॉर्टिकल्चर दिरांग को मिल पाए। और आप कलेक्टर में भी इसको लेके जाइएगा और आप इसको नाका में भी लेके जाइएगा, ताकि बहुत सा कुछ इस फेस्टिवल के जरिए हमारे बाकी जो कौम के लोग को बुद्धिज्म के बारे में, बौद्ध धर्म के बारे में जानने को मिले। और मैं पिछली बार 1 साल पहले जब मैं नाका में किरण भैया में आपके गाँव में गया था, वहाँ पे मैंने आपसे पूरे पार्टी के सामने मैंने ऐलान किया था। मैं उस चीज को मैं आज से दोहराना चाहूंगा भैया। मैंने उस समय कहा था कि जब 2019 आएंगे भैया आप इस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में आप मत रहिएगा, बाकी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में आप अपना काम करते रहिएगा, आप कैंपेन कीजिए, जो भी कीजिए आप कीजिए। मैं फिर उस बात को मैं दोहराना चाहूंगा भैया, आपको इस जिला में आने को हम नहीं दिखते, हम कांग्रेस को नहीं दिखते, हम केवल अच्छा इंसान को हम यहाँ से भरपूर वोट देके भेजेंगे, दिल लगा के वोट डाल के हम भेजेंगे भैया। लेकिन आपने भी काम करना पड़ेगा और आप काम भी कर रहा है। तो हमें पूरा विश्वास है कि मेरा पिछले 2 इलेक्शन में यहाँ से आपको वोट कम मिला, 2019 में दिरांग से आपको भरपूर हम लोगों को सहयोग, हम लोगों का प्यार आपको मिलेगा भैया। और जब हमारा जो स्कीम्स वगैरह जो दिल्ली में पड़ा हुआ है उसको आप जल्दी सैंक्शन कर दीजिएगा भैया। इसके बाद आपको फिर दिरांग में लेके हम लोग पूरा एक रात पूरा भैया आपके साथ में पूरा जितना पंचायत लीडर है, गंगुरा है, पब्लिक लीडर है।
एक सामान्य सूचना इस मंच से 2 सेकंड के लिए बोलना चाहते हैं। स्वागत कक्ष में उपस्थित सभी अधिकारियों से निवेदन ओपन है। माननीय मुख्य अतिथि गृह राज्य मंत्री श्री भारत सरकार के श्री किरेन रिजिजू सर से मैं अनुरोध करता हूं कि आप हमारे मंच पर आएं और चंद आशीर्वचन के शब्द प्रस्तुत करें।
दिरांग के हमारा लोकल एमएलए और पार्लियामेंट्री सेक्रेटरी भाई गुरबख्श सिंह जी और बमदिला से हमारा एमएलए साहब जो आज यहाँ विशेष अतिथि के रूप में बुलाया है, याकुदेव साहब, हमारा सीनियर पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स यहाँ के श्री दुर्मे साहब, आर.के. क्रिमे साहब, वेस्ट कामेंग जिले के डिप्टी कमिश्नर, एसपी और यहाँ जितने सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के ऑफिसर्स और डिपार्टमेंट, भारत सरकार से भी काफ़ी लोग यहाँ जो संबंधित अधिकारी यहाँ मौजूद हैं और यहाँ के लोकल पंचायत के नेता, लोकल पब्लिक लीडर्स, गांव और इस कार्यक्रम को रचना देने वाला सेंट्रल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ बुद्धिस्ट स्टडीज के डायरेक्टर हैं जैसे बापूजी और आपके साथ जितने भी यहाँ मौजूद वेनरेबल लामास, मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि अपना ही डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक भारत सरकार का कार्यक्रम के लिए आने का मौका मिला और मौसम भी आज ठीक था, तो मैं यहाँ समय से पहुँच सका। खलाकटांग में एक ब्रिज इनॉग्रेशन करना था, वो अच्छा से हो गया, वहाँ भी काफ़ी लोगों से मिला और आपके बीच में अभी दिरांग में आया। ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम है जो ये बुद्धिस्ट कल्चरल फेस्टिवल, जो बौद्ध सांस्कृतिक महोत्सव जो है, हमारा जीवन का ये धारा है, हमारा पहचान है, हमारा जो आइडेंटिटी जिसको बोलते हैं, हमारा विश्वास जिसको बोलते हैं, इसका एक धरोहर है। आखिर तो हम लोग जिस चीज को विश्वास करता है, वो विश्वास जो है किसी एक चीज का प्रति होता है। और इस वेस्ट कामेंग इस इलाके में बुद्ध भगवान का आशीर्वाद से लोग ने काफी काम भी किया, मेहनत किया और काफी इस एरिया को डेवलप भी किया है। बहुत कुछ करना भी बाकी है, लेकिन हर चीज डेवलपमेंट करते करते जो हम लोग का बेसिक कल्चर है, हम लोग का जो धर्म है, इसको मान्यता देना बहुत जरूरी है। और मैं जब पार्लियामेंट में अपोजिशन एमपी के हिसाब से मैं पहली बार जब गया था, तो मैंने भारत सरकार में जो प्रधानमंत्री थे उस समय के, और उस समय जो भी सांस्कृतिक मंत्री थे और अन्य सरकार के लोगों को मैं कहता था कि इस देश में बहुत ही महापुरुषों ने जन्म लिया है, उसमें प्रमुख रहा है बुद्ध भगवान। एक राजकुमार सिद्धार्थ के नाम से नेपाल में जन्म लिया किसी राज परिवार में, और हिंदुस्तान में आकर बोध गया में उसने बोधि प्राप्त किया। इस देश में वो बुद्धा प्राप्त किया और इस देश में ही संदेश पहला उन्होंने दिया सारनाथ में, फिर आगे जाके कुशीनगर में अपना शरीर को छोड़ा। ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण जगह है। मैं सब जगह कुशीनगर, सारनाथ, बोध गया, सब जगह मैं जाता हूं। अभी अभी मनाया था, तो मैंने उसमें भारत सरकार को लोकसभा में कहा था कि उसके लिए एक व्यापक प्रबंधन होना चाहिए। उतना भारत सरकार ने ध्यान नहीं दिया। तब मैंने लोकसभा में कहा था कि भारत की भूमि में जिस देश में बुद्ध भगवान का जन्म हुआ, उसी देश में आप लोगों ने बुद्ध भगवान को भूलने का काम किया है। यह अच्छा नहीं किया आप लोगों ने। और आज बहुत खुशी की बात है कि मैं सरकार को इतना कहता था, आज मैं खुद सरकार में मंत्री बनकर के बैठा हूं और जो जो मैं बोलता था आज उसको काम करने का मुझे मौका मिला है। इसलिए इस देश में किसी भी रूप से आपको कोई चिंता करने का अभी कोई जरूरत नहीं है। बहुत ही बड़ी मात्रा में हम लोग ने योजना बनाया है। विश्व का हिंदुस्तान में आना एक केंद्रित सेंटर, यहाँ पे बुद्धिज्म का सेंटर खोलने के लिए नालंदा विश्वविद्यालय अभी तुरंत शुरू होने वाला है। एक जमाने में विश्व के लोग नालंदा में पढ़ने आते थे या नॉलेज के लिए, यहां दुनिया के बारे में सीखने के लिए हिंदुस्तान आते थे। 2000 साल से भी ज्यादा हमने उसको भूल करके उसको खंडर बना कर रखा है। अभी प्रधानमंत्री जी से हम लोग ने बातचीत किया और नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी के जो डायरेक्टर है वो मेरे पास में आए और हमने अच्छा उसका स्वरूप दिया और तुरंत विश्व का सबसे जाना माना विश्वविद्यालय, रिकॉग्नाइज्ड यूनिवर्सिटी नालंदा में विकसित होगा। और वहां बुद्ध जन्म हुआ है, वहां नेता पॉलिटिशियन बुद्धिस्ट नहीं है, वो ऐसे सोचते थे। और जब वहां गया तो वो मैं बुद्धिस्ट हूं ये जान करके इतना वो खुशी हुआ और उन्होंने मेरे लिए प्रे किया, हिंदुस्तान के लिए प्रे किया और ये कहा कि हिंदुस्तान जो है हमेशा की तरह विश्व को लाइट देते रहे, इनलाइटमेंट, जगत गुरु के हिसाब से देश और दुनिया को रास्ता दिखाते रहे, ऐसे उन्होंने प्रार्थना किया। ये हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ी बात है। इसलिए जब मैं देश के लिए जो प्रतिनिधि करके बाहर जाता हूं तो साथ साथ अरुणाचल और हमारा नॉर्थ ईस्ट का भी नाम जो है वो आगे होते जाता है। ये बहुत खुशी का बात है। ये किसी राजनीति का बात नहीं है, ये हमारा पहचान, हमारा आइडेंटिटी और हमारी इज्जत का बात है। इसलिए मैं बहुत खुशी हूँ कि आज आपके बीच में आने का मौका मिला। और वैसे तो भारत सरकार क्या क्या कर रहे हैं कहने का बहुत कुछ है, आपको धीरे धीरे देखने को मिलेंगे। लेकिन आज तो इस 5 दिवसीय बोधि संस्कृति कार्यक्रम जो महोत्सव है, इसमें आपने मुझे मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में बुलाया। मैं कैसे हमारा बापू जी को मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ, आपने याद किया। यहाँ के स्थानीय हमारे पार्लियामेंट्री सेक्रेटरी साहब भाई कृपाल सिंह ने बहुत साथ दिया इसको कार्यक्रम को आयोजित करने में। हमारे यहाँ लोकल लीडर श्री जुर्मे साहब हमेशा से इंकरेजमेंट देते आए हैं। आप लोग सब मिलकर के कार्यक्रम को बहुत अच्छी तरह से आपने ऑर्गेनाइज किया। और दिल्ली से मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कल्चर के लोग और दिमापुर से जो आप कल्चरल टीम से आप सब ने मिलकर के इस आयोजन को बहुत सफलतापूर्वक आपने अरेंज किया, उसके लिए मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ। वैसे तो जो भी मुझसे जरूरत चीज़ है वो तो मैं देते रहूँगा, काम भी करते रहूँगा। और कृपा भाई ने यहाँ एक तो ब्रिज का प्रपोजल दिया है, ये दिरंग टाउन में बड़ा वाला ब्रिज का प्रपोजल दिया है। उस ब्रिज का अभी सैंक्शन होने वाला है, तो मुझे वो कह रहे थे कि जब ब्रिज का सैंक्शन हो जाएगा, बड़ा ब्रिज है वो, तो उसके लिए जो फाउंडेशन ले करने के लिए मुझे यहाँ दिरंग में फिर आना है। तो मैं फिर समय मिला करके आपके बीच में फिर आऊँगा और समय समय में आपका जो दुख तकलीफ है, बाकी काम है, वो देखते रहूँगा। और हमारे लोग कहीं कभी दिल्ली जाता है तो कभी कभी मिलना भी होता है। और मेरा तरफ से और कुछ ज़्यादा कहने का नहीं है और कुछ ज़्यादा देने को नहीं है। यहाँ पे कुछ लोग हमारे गाँव बूढ़ा लोकल लीडर कल्चरल टीम कुछ आए हैं, कुछ देने का खास नहीं है, फिर भी उनको छोटा सा तोहफा मैं 2 लाख रुपया देना चाहता हूँ। और साथ साथ फ्यूचर के लिए जो मेरा ऑफिस है, आज मैं होम मिनिस्ट्री भारत का ये बहुत ही क्रूशियल मंत्रालय में मैं बैठा हूँ, तो मेरा ऑफिस ही आपका है। मुझसे जो भी चाहिए आप मिलते रहेगा। इसलिए कोई आज किरण साहब आकर के कोई घोषणा नहीं करके गया, ऐसा मत सोचिए। मैं हमेशा आपके लिए काम करते रहूँगा। और आपको मैं दिल्ली में बैठ करके भी मेरा ऑफिस में गूगल मैप है, मैं देखते रहता हूँ, ये गांव पहाड़ सब मैं देखते रहता हूँ। मेरा ऑफिस में हेलीकॉप्टर से उल्टा अच्छे से नहीं दिखता है, वहाँ मैं ऑफिस में आराम से देखता हूँ, ऐसे सामने में जैसे मैं देखते रहता हूँ आप लोग कैसे रहते हैं, गाँव कैसे है, रास्ता कैसा, मैं वो पूरा देखते रहता हूँ। मैं टेक्नोलॉजी सेटेलाइट यूज करके देखता हूँ। इसलिए आपसे मैं कभी दूर नहीं हूँ। आप सबने यहाँ आकर के एकत्रित करके फेस्टिवल को शोभा बनाया, आप सबको धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ। और बुद्ध भगवान से प्रार्थना करना चाहता हूँ कि हम सबको और अच्छा काम करके सुखी से रहने के लिए और आशीर्वाद दें। आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। भारत सरकार की नीतियों एवं बुद्धा के शांति संदेश को जीवन में ढालने उतारने के लिए जो आपने एक एड्रेस दिया, हम सब उसके लिए बहुत ही आभारी हैं। माननीय गृह राज्य मंत्री जी के धन्यवाद ज्ञापन के लिए हम पूर्व मंत्री और श्री जुर्मे सर से अनुरोध करते हैं कि आप
बहुत ही सीनियर भूतपूर्व विधायक है श्री खारू साहब, वो भी आज हम लोग के बीच में है। और इस प्रोग्राम के ऑर्गेनाइजर केशी नवन ट्रशी बापू और उनका टीम, जितने भी पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स और दिरांग में जो है उनका ऑफिसर्स, निमाज के डायरेक्टर, दिरांग के पब्लिक लीडर्स, गांव पुरास और हमारा भाई और बहनों, कल अचानक मुझे बताया गया कि
Respected Geshe-las, the teachers, the students, and all the participants here. Today it is a great honor. Since my childhood, I've been hearing about Arunachal Pradesh. I've been hearing about Bumdila. I've been hearing about, not really Dirang as such, but then Bumdila, Dahung, all these things I've been hearing since my childhood. And yesterday on the way, when I saw the landmark which says Bumdila, it was a very touching feeling to me. It just connected me so much. It simply took me back to my childhood times. Okay, so basically today, how long should I be speaking? 1.5 hours. Total is going to be 1 hour. Total, with question answer. 1.5. Okay, so maybe 1 hour question. What I'm going to speak on, and then half an hour for question answers. In fact, for your information, when I was in school, particularly when I was in class 9, 10, 11, and 12, these 4 years, I was more keen to become a scientist, a physicist. And precisely in class 11 and 12, I opted to join physics as my major, and then for some reasons, I changed my mind and joined study of Buddhist philosophy. So then, initially in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics in Dharamsala, then followed by my time in Dirang Monastery, where I felt so honored to be one of the classmates of your director, Geshe. So it is such a good thing to be with Geshe-la back again to his homeland. Okay, first of all, thank you for honoring me with this opportunity to give a talk on the conversions and diversions between modern science and Buddhist philosophy. First of all, let's say we need to keep in mind what Albert Einstein said. If there is any religion that could cope with modern scientific needs, it would be Buddhism. So this is a very clear statement made by the greatest scientific giant, Albert Einstein. Many of you know as to who this great scientist is. So he said that Buddhism is the one which can fulfill the needs of the modern science. So from this, particularly when I was a student myself, after seeing this quote, then it gave me a sense of curiosity. It gave me a sense of curiosity as to what made Albert Einstein to make such a remark that Buddhism alone can fulfill the scientific needs. So what made him say that? And then through my exposure to Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, there I realized that finally there are so many points of convergence between Buddhism and the Western science, so which I'm going to discuss a little later. These points will tell us as what made Albert Einstein to draw such a massive conclusion that Buddhism alone can fulfill the needs of science. Okay, now this structure is extremely important. This structure is extremely important, and it seems like there are some youngsters at the back. If you are keen, please come forward so that you can read because this is so important. The PowerPoint, that is so important. So that will give you a major information, more so than what I'm speaking. Okay, just in the front here, in the front rows, you can come here, the younger ones. Can you see what is written there? Can you see what is written there? Can you see that? Nothing? Oh, then you don't see anything. It makes no sense for me. See there? Okay, those at the back, can you see what is written there? Can you? Those at the back, can you see what is written there? Can you see? Okay, okay. So this is very important. This part is very important to see to the parallels, to see to the convergence and divergence between Buddhism and modern science. We need to know these 3 points. At the base, we have the basis, the path, and the result. In Tibetan, we read it as Shi Lam Devu, Shi Lam Desum. The basis, the path, and the result. So if you look at the picture, we see that the top is the image of the Buddha. Top is the image of the Buddha, and then down is the image of Sarvasti. Sarvasti, the very sacred place of the Buddha. So the staircase, the steps to the Buddhahood. The steps to the Buddhahood. So the structure of the Buddha's teachings. Structure of the Buddha's teachings is designed on Shi Lam Devu, the basis, the path, and the result. So we need to know what is Shi Lam Devu, each of them really mean. Then on that basis, we have to see the comparison and the contrast between Buddhism and modern science. So, Heart Sutra, in between, I quoted the Heart Sutra mantra, Tyatha Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Soham. So most of you have been reciting this mantra. This mantra is so important. So this mantra, this gives us the understanding of what is the basis is, what the path is, and what the result is. So the basis, Shi, the basis is to understand the situation that we are in, the basis of the situation that we are in at the moment. What are you like? What I like. Say, if we want to enjoy the very delicious the Arunachal apples, then if you plant a mango seed, you can't expect mango coming out of that. If you plant a mango seed, you can't expect the Arunachal apples coming out of that. So for apples, we need to plant apple seed. Likewise, to have the result of the Buddhahood, the image, which is indicated by the image, the Buddha top there, to achieve the state of Buddhahood, there must be some basis within you. There must be some basis within you which will guarantee you that you will eventually become a Buddha. For example, say if you squeeze a handful of sand, there's no oil coming out of that. Whereas if you squeeze a handful of sunflower seeds, then oil will come out of that. So what is the difference? So what makes the oil, the handful of sand does not give rise to oil, and what makes the handful of sunflower seeds give rise to oil? What is the answer? It's very simple. Sunflower seeds has the basis of the oil inside. Likewise, for us to become a Buddha, for us to eventually become a Buddha, there must be a seed inside. So that seed is known as Buddha nature. In Tibetan we call it Sanghigirik, Buddha nature. So that is the basis, Buddha nature and the ultimate reality. Ultimate reality is in the context of emptiness. Then, once you have the seed of Buddhahood, once you know that you have the seed of the Buddhahood, then the question is, how can we activate this seed to make it a Buddha? So here we have to climb the steps. So these steps are referred to as the path.
Number two is the path. Number two is the path. So this path, finally, what is that path which will eventually take us towards what we are now, the ordinary state, to the Buddhahood? What will take us there? So that is, finally, it is the wisdom and altruism, or Bodhisattva, Changchupsen and Sherab, altruism and Bodhisattva. These will take us to become the Buddha. And then, with this path, if you are very successful, then the seed of Buddhahood within you, the seed of Buddhahood within you will eventually be awakened fully in the form of fully enlightened state, or the Buddha. That is the result. The result, at a base, the result, we see that it is the perfect bliss of enlightenment, which means the Buddhahood. Okay. As a precursor to my talk, I'd like to explain to you a little bit about what the Buddha nature is. Okay. Before I go to explain what this Buddha nature is, I will move to this slide, which says, in Tibetan it is Gelong Tagam Kenamki Sekche Dawe Seshindu. Like Bartala Ngaika Langwara Chai Kujimin. This is the Tibetan version. In English, this is, O monks and wise people, just as a goldsmith tests the purity of the gold through burning, cutting, and burning gold, you should also examine my words and put them to practice, not simply because you respect me. So at one point, when I was in England, in Cambridge, when I was studying there in Cambridge, then I met a physicist, a great physicist, incredibly brilliant. And then this physicist, he was telling me that once he invited me for a meal, and then I was having some discussions with him, and then he said that in this world, only physics is education. So how many of you have taken physics? How many of us here, right? Other than us doing physics, according to this scientist, we are doing nothing, according to this scientist. So then I told him that, okay, just wait. Why do you think that physics alone is the education? And then he said, very simple, because physics allows you to have a critical thinking. Physics allows you to have a critical thinking, and all other educations, they are imitation of the earlier teachers. Then I said, okay, hold on, wait what the Buddha has to say. And then I quoted this, what the Buddha said, O wise men and the bhikshus, just as the goldsmith tests the purity of the gold by cutting, rubbing and burning the gold, you should also examine my words and put them into practice, not simply because you respect me. And then he just remained silent for a while, and then he said, yes, the Buddha must be a great physicist. So what he's saying is that Buddha's approach is very much in parallel with physics thinking. Okay, with that in mind, if you go back, the basis, the Buddha nature, I'd like to explain this to you here. This is so important. Why Buddhism goes in so well with modern science. How Buddhism goes in so well with modern science is because modern science is based on objectivity, what is known as objectivity. Meaning that irrespective of what your belief system, they simply explore what is reality. So they explore reality through experimentation and through rational thinking, through reasoning and experimentation. And of all the different religions, we don't mean to demean other religions, but Buddhism, the Buddha's approach is something so unique that very much tallies with the scientific thinking, experimentation and analysis, or the rational reasoning. Okay, with that in mind, the Buddha nature, Sangha, I'd like to very quickly give you a very generic understanding as to what constitutes Sangha, what constitutes ultimate the Sangha, the Buddha nature. Okay, Arunachal, I know that Arunachal, here Arunachal, weather-wise, it is not too hot. Imagine we are all in Delhi now. Imagine we are all in Delhi now, and then by now, Delhi is, say, a little over 35 degrees centigrade. Just imagine that in Delhi we are all under the scorching heat. We are all under the scorching heat, scorching sun. Then we are all very thirsty. And then the water that I have here, it is very dirty. And the only water available is this water. And then I asked you, do you like to drink this water because you're very thirsty? You will say no. You will say no. And I say why? What is the answer? What's the answer? Because it is not clean. It is dirty. Okay. Now I treat this water with chemical alum. I treat this water with a chemical alum. I put a chemical alum in this. And then what does this chemical alum do is that it separates, it settles all the sediments, it settles all the pollutants, the dirts from the water, and they all settle down. Then you remove the dirts, and then what is the water? The water becomes so clean and so pure. You like to drink it? Yes. Okay. Now the next question is, where did this clean water come from? Where did this clean water come from? This is my question. So before you give the answer, I like to give another analogy. Imagine on my left hand, there's a black coal to burn, coal. And if I assign you to make this black coal white, how are we going to do that? You will try to remove all the black parts, black particles. Remove all the black particles, what will happen to you? The black coal will disappear. Whereas by removing the dirt, the water did not disappear. By removing the dirt, water did not disappear. Instead, the water becomes very clean. Whereas with the black coal, by removing the black parts, it becomes the coal itself disappears. So the question is, what is the difference between the two? On the one hand, with the water, instead of the water disappearing, it becomes so clean. And with the black coal, instead of the black coal becoming white, it disappears altogether. So what is the difference? Anyone? 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 Okay, very likely you have your thoughts, you have your answers. I know that you have your answers. Okay, I know that you have the answers. Most of you will agree with me that Okay, most of you will agree with me that with the water, why the water did not disappear? Instead of that, water becomes very clean. So what is the reason? And then the other question is, where did this clean water come from? Where did this clean water come from? From outside? No, from the dirty water itself. So the dirty water, however dirty the water is, the true nature of water is not dirty. The true nature of water is very clean. And then, what is that dirty one? That is temporary, that is adventitious. So when you separate with a chemical alum, what we do is that we remove the dirts, we separate the adventitious nature of the dirts with the true nature of the water. True nature of water which is so clean. When the temporary dirts are removed, then the true nature becomes manifest. That is the purity of the water. Purity of the water, that is the true nature of the water. Likewise, our mind, each one of us, our mind is not like the black hole. Our mind is like the dirty water. Our mind is like the dirty water. However dirty the water is, however dirty our mind is, our mind may be very dirty, anger, agitation, jealousy, competitiveness, fear, and so forth. However dirty our mind is, but the true nature of mind is not dirty. The true nature of mind is as clean as the Buddha's mind. That is known as the Buddha nature. So this is what, of all the different teachers who existed, who appeared on this earth, it was only the Buddha Shakyamuni who taught this, that the true nature of the mind of each and every single individual is the Buddha nature. It is so pure and so clean. Okay. The next question is, if the mind is so pure and so clean, If the mind is so pure and so clean, if the true nature of the mind is so pure and so clean, but at the moment our mind is not pure, our mind is so defiled. So that is like a dirty water. So how can we make this water clean? This is the question. How can we make our mind clean? This question. Okay, before I go further into this, let me go to this. The basis. The basis. Shi, lam, devu, shi, the basis. The basis from, if in relation to the contemporary science, modern science, for modern science, the basis, the path, and the result. The modern science explores only the basis. Modern science explores only the basis. So, modern science and Buddhist philosophy, in what way these two can be compatible is in relation to understanding the basis, not with the path and the result. Path and the result are connected with what is known as soteriological purpose. Soteriological purpose or the spiritual purpose. So whereas the basis is establishing what the reality is. So from that perspective, explaining the basis, we see that in terms of the modern science can be divided into two. Modern science can be divided into two: soft science and hard science. Soft science can be, what I have here is just, I delineated only few examples like psychology, geology. Psychology is the study of the mind, and geology is the study of earth, and then environment science and so forth. So all these come under soft science. Whereas the hard science, the main science, hard science meaning the main science. Main science is constituted primarily of three streams: physics, chemistry, and biology. And within biology, the main is neuroscience. Main is the neuroscience. So these are the areas in science. Now, Buddhism and modern science. When speaking about the comparison or convergence or divergence or compatibility between modern science and Buddhism, say with the soft science we have psychology. So psychology and Buddhism, there is a tremendous, not necessarily convergence or divergence, but so many common points, common areas. Okay, there are so many common areas between Buddhism, Buddhist psychology, or Buddhist Loric, Buddhist psychology, and the modern psychology. There are so many parallel points, the common points. And then geology, environment, there's a slight difference. Now the main area in modern science to look for the comparison with Buddhism is in the area of the hard science, particularly physics, and then within biology, I have noted down neuroscience, particularly physics and neuroscience. Okay, so if you look at here, physics, we see that physics, although there is Newtonian physics, which is the classical physics. Now, from the Newtonian physics, there is a paradigm shift. Paradigm shift meaning that Newtonian physics, which was once believed to be the leading physics or the leading concept in the world, so eventually come to know that the concept in classical physics or Newtonian physics, there are so many errors. So these errors are discovered over the period of time when it evolved to quantum physics and theory of relativity. So the first one, quantum physics, which is mostly credited to Niels Bohr over there, Niels Bohr, and then relativity theory or theory of relativity. So that is credited mainly to Albert Einstein. So if you look at the picture, the four guys are there. From your left to the right,
The first one is Niels Bohr, and the second one I'm not too sure. The third one is Albert Einstein. Third one is Albert Einstein sitting. Third one, that is Albert Einstein who invented or who discovered. So the best thing would be to who came up with the concept. Who came up with the concept of theory of relativity. So these are the two areas where Buddhism very much works in with great compatibility between modern science and Buddhist philosophy. Okay, now the question is, okay, so the ultimate reality, as can be seen here, physics, quantum physics is also trying to explain what constitutes the ultimate reality. And then theory of relativity. So why the Buddha remained silent was to explain that the ultimate reality is so profound. It is so profound. In fact, if you go back, quantum physics is also very profound. Quantum physics. The founder of quantum physics, Niels Bohr, what he said was that if you study quantum physics and if you are not shocked, you have not understood quantum physics. You study quantum physics, you study this, and then it doesn't give any sense of amazement, any sense of shocking. I can't believe this. If you don't get this feeling, you have not understood quantum physics. Likewise, the teaching of the Buddha, the emptiness, ultimate reality. As I said earlier here, the Buddha said that finding no one who can fathom the depth, of this teaching, that people around, he could not see anyone to see, anyone who can fathom, who can see the depth of the emptiness. So therefore, the Buddha preferred to remain in silence. Likewise, relativity theory. Likewise, Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity is also trying to explore what the ultimate reality is. And Albert Einstein, theory of relativity, which is again very profound. In fact, it is said that when Albert Einstein was alive, when he first came up with this idea of relativity theory, when he first came up with this idea, one of his friends, there were three friends, Albert Einstein and another physicist who was brilliant. Then the third person told Albert Einstein, no, they told the second person, is it true? Okay, this is very important. The third person told Albert Einstein's friend, who is also a great physicist, is it true that there are three persons on this earth who alone understand Albert Einstein's relativity theory? Then the friend of Albert Einstein, physicist, he remained silent. He was just pondering. Then the third person said, is it not true? Then the friend said that, in fact, I am just thinking of who the third person is. First one is Albert Einstein. The second one is himself. Then he was thinking, who is the third person who understood this kind of the relativity theory? Right? On this earth, at the time of Albert Einstein, it was believed that they were only, despite both of them being very profound and extremely profound, yet, unlike the understanding of the emptiness, they do not have a special consequence. They do not have soteriological purpose. Whereas the study of emptiness, ultimate reality, as explained by the Buddhist Shakyamuni, if you could really understand it, it has a tremendous impact. The understanding of this has a tremendous impact to calm yourself, to eliminate your fear, and it has an incredible depth of benefit for oneself. So with this, particularly the students of Central Institute of Himalayan Cultural Studies, so there I would very much encourage particularly the younger ones, the venerable monks, that you are very fortunate to have all these great geshes to explain to you what constitutes emptiness, what constitutes Hon'ble. So take 1 minute or 1 second to pull it back, right? Pull it back. Before 1 second, where was this biscuit? You will say that it was there. This would be our understanding, right? There's a causal relationship. When I say that, okay, at the moment, earlier the biscuit was a little away from me, and after 1 second I pull it back, it's now here. Where was the biscuit 1 second before? You will say that it was there. But according to quantum physics, it's wrong. According to quantum physics, it's wrong. Because to know exactly where the biscuit was earlier, you cannot explain where the biscuit was unless and until you bring into consideration the observer. Independent of the observer, the object makes no sense. Say electrons. Electrons, when speaking about the position of the electrons and the momentum of the electrons. Electron, the subtlest particle, as is discovered now. So this electron, if somebody asks you what is the position of the electron, what is the momentum of the electron 1 second before it exists now, no one can say this. It makes no sense, because only in relation to the observer, then the object, the momentum, the position of the electron makes sense. Now, parallel to that is Buddhist concept of tope takpa, tene takpa, tope takpa. So in Buddhism, things exist only through imputation by the thought, only through imputation by the designating mind or the imputing thought. So independent of the imputing thought, object makes no sense. There's no objective reality. So these two, quantum physics and the Buddhist concept, these two go so much in parallel. In fact, in one point, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, many years ago, maybe like 30 years ago, His Holiness the Dalai Lama was talking about the Buddhist concept of tope takpa, Buddhist concept of how things come into being by the power of your mind, by imputing mind. Then a physicist, I think it is Rajaramana, Indian physicist, a renowned physicist. Then at the end of the discourse, he went to His Holiness and said that what you taught existed, was already taught 2,500 years ago by the Buddha. And then we, the scientists, now discover it not long ago. It's just within 100 years that it came into the scientific arena. Before that, it was unheard of, unknown. So Buddhist philosophy, this is so profound. It already spoke about these kind of physics since long time ago. So this was what he said. And so this, the first part, which I wrote, I said, all phenomena exist through material imputation. This is the Buddhist concept. All phenomena exist through matter of the imputation. And the scientific quantum physics says that the momentum and position of an electron exists only through dependence on the observer. This is quantum physics. So these two go so much in parallel. So nowadays, the quantum physicists or the students of quantum physics, they oftentimes try to study Buddhist philosophy of dependent origination. Then number two, things are all relatively existent. There's no absolute reality. This is Buddhist concept. And the relativity theory, Albert Einstein says, space and time exist relatively with respect to a frame of reference. Okay, this is Albert Einstein. Now, again, let me try to explain what Albert Einstein is saying. Relativity theory, in very simple terms. Okay, there is a very popular concept of the twins paradox. I don't know how many of you have heard about that twins paradox. So the twins paradox, this is the concept Albert Einstein brought up. And imagine there are two twins. Both are 20 years old. Imagine there are two twins, two brothers,
who are both 20 years old. Then one brother decided to stay on the planet Earth, and the other brother decided to get into an aeroplane or jet or a spacecraft, which is so fast, very close to the speed of light. So one brother is to stay on the Earth, and the other brother is to get into the flight and then fly with the speed very close to a speed of light. And then both of them are to meet together within 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes, the two brothers are to meet. Okay, if they are 20 years old before they depart, before they separate, how old are they when two of them come back or come together? Anyone? Did you understand my question? My question is that both the brothers, they are 20 years old. Okay, they are 20 years old, and the one brother decides to stay on the Earth, and the other brother got into the aeroplane, which is so fast, close to the speed of light. And then he goes up into space, will come back within 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes, and then the two brothers should meet. So tell me, how old are the two brothers going to be like after 10 minutes? Anyone? 20 years plus 10 minutes, right? So this is a common sense, but the answer is wrong. From our common sense point of view, it's 20 years plus 10 minutes. But then according to relativity theory, this is wrong. Because the brother who got into the aeroplane, for him 10 minutes is as long as 30 years on the Earth. For the brother who is in this speed, very high speed, for him 10 minutes is as long as 30 years on the planet Earth. So say 1 year, 20 years, 30 years, say for 10 years, 20 years, still the brother on the aeroplane is not coming back. And the other brother on the Earth, he was 20 years plus, 30 years plus, 40 years, and then 50 years. 30 years means very smart boy. 50 years means old man. Then he is already old. And then the other brother came back. Other brother, how old is he? He's just 20 years plus 10 minutes. The second brother who went into the airplane, he's just 20 years plus 10 minutes. And the brother who stayed on the Earth, he's already 50 years. Although they were twins, now there's an age gap. So this is according to the relativity theory. Relativity theory says that space and time, space and time are relative. Say if I say that how far is Bumdila? Is it very far away or too short? What is the answer? It depends, right? Likewise, time is also relative according to Albert Einstein. Time is also relative. Time depends on the frame of reference. If you take Delhi as the frame of reference, then Bumdila is very short distance, right? Whereas if you take Dahung as the frame of reference, then Bumdila is far away. Likewise, Albert Einstein is saying that the time is a relative phenomenon. Time exists only by dependence on the frame of reference. So what is the frame of reference? The speed. Someone sitting on the planet Earth, the speed is 0. Whereas someone flying at the speed of the aeroplane, the speed of light, is very fast. Because of this very fast, there's a time dilation. What is known as time dilation? Time, it is like an elastic band. You pull it and then it stretches. Likewise, 10 minutes, it pulls and it becomes 30 years. For that person on the aeroplane, it's just 10 minutes. But with respect to the person on the Earth, it's already 30 years. This is a relativity of time according to Albert Einstein. Whereas according to quantum physics, according to Newtonian physics, Newton, before Albert Einstein, Newton says that no, time is fixed, time is absolute. time 2 temperature bare, according to the Newton's Shashawina, 2 is temperature, 2 temperature bare. Albert Einstein, mare 2 bare. 2 bare, 2 mare, temperature. This is according to Albert Einstein. So there is a paradigm shift from the Newtonian physics to the relativity theory of Albert Einstein. So this is the space and time exists relatively with respect to a frame of reference. This is according to Albert Einstein. Then in the Buddha, according to Buddha's teachings, and precisely interpreted by Arunachal, Arunachal, everything exists relatively. Everything exists relatively, including time. So, with explaining how not only the space, it is also the time that exists relatively. That is very much what goes parallel between Buddhist philosophy, the teachings of emptiness according to the Buddha, and Albert Einstein's concept of relativity theory. Okay, now this is a very important part I'd like to discuss with you. This is Mind and Life Conference. Some of you may be aware of this, some of you may not be aware of this. Mind and Life Conference. This is now a very international, internationally recognized, internationally reputed conference, which was initiated in 1987. Now it is already 27 years old. 27 years old. So if you look at the picture, we see that there's a National Geographic magazine, which is a very popular magazine. So there is the monk with all the electrodes to examine the compassion, to examine the neuronal circuits within the brain, the neurons as he is meditating. So below the main frame, it is His Holiness the Dalai Lama addressing the Mind and Life Conference. Mind and Life Conference, for your information, it is a dialogue. It is a conference between contemporary physics, contemporary neuroscience versus Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist psychology. The next picture here, we see that who started this Mind and Life Institute or Mind and Life Conference. There were 3 of them. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is the key person who initiated this institute. And this institute now is very popular and very prestigious. And to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the top picture, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the world-renowned neuroscientist. A world-renowned neuroscientist at the top, His Holiness, and to His Holiness's left side is Professor Francisco Varela. Professor Francisco Varela, he was a world genius. He was a neuroscientist, and he was one of the co-founders of this institute. And the third is a lawyer come businessman. Down the picture down, His Holiness the Dalai Lama escorted by the 2 persons, and the one who is facing us jointly started this Mind and Life Conference and later institutionalized as Mind and Life Institute. This is so important. In fact, those of you who are interested in science and Buddhism, I would very much encourage you to visit Mind and Life website. You could just click Google search Mind and Life, and then all the programs which they are organizing will be seen there. Then the person who is sitting to the right side of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he's a very important figure. Okay, let me see. This is Professor Richard Davidson. Professor Richard Davidson, he is actually another. He's not a founding member. He's not a founding member of the Mind and Life Institute, but he is a very popular neuroscientist. Now he is taking the main charge from the scientist side as the main in charge to take care of the Mind and Life Institute. So he was in 2006. He was named by the Times magazine. How many of you know about the Times magazine? Okay, he was actually named by this very famous, prestigious Times magazine as one of the world's 100 most. There's no there's no growth of the brain cells, neurons. Neurons, the brain cells, what you had from childhood, that is fixed. It will keep on dying and it will not rejuvenate. They will not rejuvenate, and you will not have any new synaptic connections. You will not have any new neuronal circuits. But then recently, over the time of the inception of Mindful Life Conference, then the concept of the neuroplasticity that came into being, the brain plasticity, meaning that even the brain that we have, from their research, they discovered that even as you age, the neurons, you find that there are new neurons coming about. You see that there are new neuronal synapses coming about, and in line with your practice, in line with your training, the brain can be changed. There's a plasticity there. So this is a new discovery. And the second research, which is very important, being carried as a part of this Mindful Life Conference or Mindful Life Institute, particularly by Professor Richard Davidson, is on the concept of thukdam. At the time of death. At the time of death, some of the practitioners, they stay in the meditative state at the time of death. So this is something which the contemporary science cannot explain. And so this scientist, Richard Davidson, he is being assigned by His Holiness the Dalai Lama to do this research on the thukdam, exactly as to what is happening on the brain level when the practitioner goes into the process of the thukdam at the time of death. Clinically, the person is dead, according to the hospitals, according to the medical doctors and the neuroscientists. The person is already dead, the brain dead, and the heart also are dead. But still, we see that the person continues to remain so fresh, with the body is not decomposing. With the body is not decomposing for 1 week, for 20 days, and so forth. And then in the case of His Holiness the Gandhi Rinpoche in Himalayan, who when he passed away, he remained in that state for 19 days. 19 days. And then Richard Davidson, this professor, he was informed about this, and then he was already in America, and then he sent some instructions to do some kind of research on him. Okay, His Holiness the Dalai Lama makes a very humorous statement here. His Holiness assigned him to do research on this thukdam, and then because of this instruction, he brought one machine from America to India. He brought a machine from America to India to do this research on thukdam when somebody passes away and remains in the thukdam state, in the meditative state. Then it went like, say, 10 years, 15 years, and then finally the researchers, the scientists, the machine was redundant. The machine was of no use because they did not find any person dying, particularly those who are evolved practitioners. So they took the machine back, and then again the practitioners start dying. So His Holiness says that when the machine is there, they don't get the subject. When the subject is there, the machine is not there. So how can we do the research? So this is what His Holiness jokingly said. And the third area is the secular ethics. On the basis of secular ethics, on the basis of these dialogues between the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist psychology, and the Western science, particularly neuroscience and physics, His Holiness is aiming to come up with the concept of the secular ethics. Whether or not you are a believer, whether or not you are a Buddhist, Hindu, Christians, or whatever, even as non-believers, the person must have a sense of right and wrong. The person must have a sense of respect for others. The person must have a sense of value of love, affection, and so forth. Only with this
we can expect the world to have a genuine peace, world peace, and all the crises can possibly be brought to an end. So that is known as the means to make it happen, to make it materialize, is what His Holiness the Dalai Lama coins as the second ethics. Okay, now there are several more areas. Okay. Okay, so I don't like to take so much of time from you. Perhaps in the future, perhaps, I'm not too sure. In the future, if things go well, then I'll be so happy to come back and then give more talks in more detail, particularly to the youngsters from schools, from colleges, and so forth of your locality. So here, for the last part, the suggested readings. So these would be very helpful materials for us to read. One is Universe in a Single Atom, written by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Universe in a Single Atom. And the next three parts, next three books, they are the result of the Mind and Life Conference. They are so helpful, and in fact, it might be good that the Central Institute of Himalayan Studies could get these books as a reference for your library to be used by the students. Say, Sleeping, Dreaming and Dying. This is a very rigorous study as to what is happening at the time of sleeping from the neuroscience point of view, from the Buddhist point of view. And a Buddhist point mainly presented by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And from the neuroscience point of view, there were several scientists. And the next one is Gentle Bridges. The next one is Destructive Emotions. And finally is In Search of Memory. In Search of Memory is such a good book, in fact, by Eric Kandel, and it is purely on neuroscience. It is purely on neuroscience, and Eric Kandel is a Nobel laureate in physiology, 2004. So this book is again very, very helpful book. Okay, thank you. And for any clarifications that you may need in future, you can contact Tibet House. The Tibet House. So the email address is office@tibethouse.in. And if you want to have my personal email address, dordam@gmail.com. DORDAN@gmail.com. So this is this is the conclusion of my talk here, and I'd like to invite some questions.
계시에 도전기가 내가 배웠구나. 이제 그때 주니 딱 계시라게 이제 다 주시디 이 남바산제비 최단 세리기 그래서 아니 나라나 주반 현진에 가려는 것들나 나도기 세리 바탕 남배기 남바탄 세리 바라라 가리초라 튕기기 어떤 이직 남진에 나라 저희들이 저시 고급 나서 그러나 지니에 딱 안쪽이 남바산제비 최단에 셔바나 가는 하 주디 값보다 미치기 수포라 미치기 수포라 가서 셔바지 레오 마라 셔바지 미치 값보다 하 주디 값 소소라니기 셔바지 안되지라 얘기나 먼저 수포지 나올라 셔바니 내 투비나
Okay, the first part is more what I've already covered. Maybe the question is how many of you understood the question? Okay, so I may paraphrase that in English. The first one is, what exactly are the points of convergence between science and Buddhism, and what are the points of divergence between Buddhism and science? So first, with physics, physics is the area. First of all, let me say that Buddhism and science in general, what is common with convergence is that two of them are in search of the reality, on the basis of reasoning, without blind faith. This is the commonality. This is the point of convergence between Buddhism and modern science. So this is a very important point, and this is where all the scientists, the moment you speak about Buddhist philosophy, the scientists come to listen to you. Otherwise, you speak something about blind faith, they will simply close their eyes and they will run away. So this is the greatest area in Buddhism science of the convergence. Now precisely into physics, quantum physics, and Buddhist concept of Topetaba, quantum physics and Buddhist concept of material imputation. Then relativity theory and Buddhist concept of Tutu. In fact, even the terminology is also same. Relativity theory of Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, special theory of relativity, and general theory of relativity. And the Buddhist word is Tutu. Tutu in English is the relative existence, relative reality. So these are the areas of convergence. Now areas of divergence as of now is that modern science they do not believe in rebirth. And modern science, the genuine scientists, then they don't say that the rebirth does not exist. They don't approve the rebirth, nor do they disprove the rebirth. They say that we don't know. This is beyond our exploration. This is beyond our experimentation. So therefore, that is, scientists, they remain oblivious to the concept of rebirth. It's not that they say that, or they proved, it's not that they proved rebirth to be non-existent. And then okay, those at the back, can you hear me? It's inside out. Okay, thank you. The next question is, okay, not really next question, it's about the part of the first question, the divergence. With the divergence, the rebirth concept, that is not at the moment being accepted by modern science, but this is, of course, the ground for the Buddhist teachings. Then, whereas the second question is about whether or not within the same body there are two number Shiva, there are two consciousnesses. This is the question. Okay, this is a very tricky question. In fact, we see that, say, when someone is possessed by a spirit, when someone is possessed by a spirit, then the person, the original person, has his own mind. Then the spirit's mind also come into being, right? So, whether or not the same body has two consciousnesses of two different beings, or one remains dormant and the other is in the manifest state. This is a very tricky question. In fact, from nowadays, what we see amongst people, we see that people with the body attached, two persons with body attached, right? And they are sharing the whole body. Maybe the two hands are separate, right? But there are two persons within. And if you talk, you see that the same physical body with two different heads, and you converse. These two are two independent individuals. This is what, just Google search, you will see that. They're all there. So, that is very possible that within the same body there are two consciousnesses. This is very possible from this. Then, okay, so I would say that yes, it is possible. So in which case, when someone is possessed by a spirit, the spirit mind becomes very gross and manifest, and the mind of the medium, that is existent, that is there, but it is in a dormant state. Dormant state meaning that mind is there like unconscious, in an unconscious state, like this there, and the spirit mind is the one which dominated. Okay, any questions? Yes, over there.
question related to karma. How karma and the science is related to each other?
Okay, this is a huge question. In what way karma legunde? In what way legunde or karma? On the one hand, from the Buddhist teachings point of view, and the science, modern science, how do they converge or how do they diverge? This is the issue. So karma, we need to keep in mind that karma falls under the category of Gunde. Gunde is Yudadevu. Within Yudadevu, then there are two kinds. One is the karmic cause-effect relationship, and the other one is non-karmic cause-effect relationship. There are two. So cause-effect relationship is the main umbrella. Within that, there are two categories. One is karmic, and the other one is non-karmic. Now, modern science, particularly physics, quantum physics and relativity theory. Relativity theory founder Albert Einstein, he is very much in line with accepting cause-effect relationship, whereas quantum physics rejects that. Quantum physics is not at all in favor of the karmic operation and is not at all in favor in cause-effect relationship, which means karma forget about. Whereas Albert Einstein, relativity theory, that is in conformity with cause-effect relationship, but not with karma, with cause-effect relationship. So they say that cause-effect relationship should be very efficacious. It should be very valid. Without which, then if you speak about the quantum physics, if you speak about the randomness, then you can't explain the whole operation of the world. So therefore, there must be the efficacy of the cause and effect relationship. But still, Albert Einstein is not talking about karma. He's talking about the cause-effect relationship in general, not the karmic cause-effect relationship. So this is the current state. Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, I have been asked that we can take one more question last, please. There is some other program is there waiting.
Okay. Last question.
From the Guruji, I want to make us to know science and Buddhist philosophy. Yes, on the real way. What would the enlightenment of scientists like Albert Einstein and all those scientists, non-scientists, who have invented many things, but they have failed to get enlightenment. What was the result that not got enlightened and the scientists they could not be enlightened?
Oh, okay. Okay, so this session is going to be ended with a very interesting question. The question is that Lord Buddha explored into the ultimate reality, and the scientists they are also exploring into the ultimate reality. So both exploring the ultimate reality, and only the Lord Buddha achieved enlightenment, and not the scientists. So what is the difference? This question. This is a good question. In fact, this is a very good question. In fact, there is a discussion, particularly with the quantum physics. Quantum physics, which quantum physics. The concept is very similar to the Buddhist concept of emptiness. Very similar. Quantum physics now, very similar. Then the question arises, and the quantum physicist says, why not they achieve enlightenment if they understood something very close to emptiness? This is the question. Okay, this is a very serious question, and my personal assessment, my personal speculation is that say to understand emptiness, ultimate reality, once you understand emptiness, you should also be able to posit the functionality. We have the emptiness on the one hand, and on the other hand, the reality of the world is there. The world is not empty. The world is there, right? If we, without this, without food, we are hungry, and without education, we become very blind. So these are the realities. On the one hand, there is emptiness. So how quantum physics, they explain about the emptiness part so much, they don't explain about the functionalities. Whereas the Buddhist concept of emptiness, it not only deals with the emptiness, it also deals with the functionalities. So the harmony of emptiness and dependent of the functionalities. So this is done by the Buddhist teachings. Buddhist Shakyamuni found this. Harmony of emptiness and the dependent origination. Emptiness and the functionality. Whereas modern science goes more into the emptiness side and not into the functionality. So that without the functionality, then you will not aspire to become Buddha. Because functionality is, okay, if I study this, if I practice it more, then I will become Buddha, right? So cause, effect, cause, effect. So the cause effect part, the quantum physicists, the scientists, they simply remain very oblivious, very naive, and totally irresponsible with regard to the functionality. So they don't have the harmony of the cause of the relationship and emptiness. So Arunachal said in Tibetan, he said that in the Buddhism of Vivara now, he said that so this highlights the beauty and the strength of the emptiness which the Buddha found. He said that the one who saw the emptiness at the same time conformed to the functionality, that is the amazement of all amazements, and this is the wonder of all wonders. So this unity of the emptiness and dependent origination cannot be brought by the science. It is brought only by the Buddhist Shakyamuni's teachings. So therefore the Buddha attained Buddhahood and the science is not. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So you have brought this, not only this Dharma talk, but also this Buddhist festival into a different level. And for some time, we are also brought into a different world by your thought-provoking lecture. So as per the agenda, now we had the comment of the chairperson. So I'd like to request today's chairperson, Professor Dr. Dharma sir, to give his valuable comments on the lecture, please.
Whatever has been said, to those who have a minimum level of understanding about science, especially physics, and also the Buddha's teaching, might have understood the relationship between the science and the teachings of the Buddha, where both the scientist and the Buddha, they were exploring to understand the reality. The difference is the scientist of today's world, they are more concerned about the physical reality of the world. The atoms, electrons and neutrons, the working or the behavior of the physical particles. Whereas the Buddha, 2500 years ago, he has given more importance on the nature, function and behavior of the mind, not only the body alone. And what Buddha has done, the research, was not only merely at the thinking level, not merely at the speculation level, it's direct experience. When Buddha was sitting under the Bodhi tree, or under any tree for meditation. That time Buddha was not experimenting in the laboratory actually on the frog or animals or other particles. He was exploring and knowing directly whatever things are going on within the framework of his body and mind. So enlightenment or the dawning of the Buddha knowledge comes when there is direct experience of the reality, not only by the speculation. So today, whatever our Venerable Sir has given, the beautiful presentation, it gives us a background to understand the teachings of the Buddha in the light of the modern science, the logical, rational, and also practical level. But as far as the bodhicitta or enlightenment is concerned, we have to go one step beyond that. We have to really practice meditation, know the real nature of the mind, the causal relation. That's what our Venerable Sir was saying, how the karmic causality functions. The scientists, they are talking about the non-karmic relationship of different events, different particles. But we, the Buddhists, in the realm of Buddhist science or the Buddhist philosophy, will be talking about a karmic causality, which is more important, the basis for enlightenment. Once one knows the causation, what causes what relieves what leads to what, and when a person with clear understanding of this knowledge follows the path, definitely becomes an enlightened person. So I hope everyone enjoyed it, and in the coming days we'll be having many other speakers to enlighten you on different topics of Buddha's teaching. Thank you so much for patient hearing and also supporting us with your own questions and also valuable time that you have given to this presentation. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable comments. Now, before going to the last program, I would like to give you a very important announcement that from tomorrow onwards, you will have this kind of...
For your wonderful performance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to present a Bhutanese dance. This dance will be performed by the students of Central Institute of Himalayan Cultural Studies. The importance of this particular dance is that this dance is related with the basic concept of Buddhism, that is karma. All the artists, they believe that they did some good works in their past life, therefore they are enjoying the present life, and they want to dedicate this present life for the welfare of the entire human being. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Bhutanese dance performed by the Central Institute of Himalayan Culture. Of tomorrow's program. Tomorrow, two groups from Assam, namely Mishing Bihu dance and Hajong dance, will join us in the evening. They will perform the traditional dances of Mishing and Hajong. Tomorrow we will also present the Ajilamu dance, Yaksam dance and monkey dance, along with some other traditional dances. All the programs that is inaugurated by the Honorable Home Minister Sir today, those programs will be continuing tomorrow. And in the morning session, from 6 o'clock, our meditation program will be started. Our yoga program will be started. This yoga guru, Bhante Subhatananda, he will come from Bangalore, Mahabodhi Society. He will teach us the yoga and meditation, both these are coming from Bangalore and Assam.
all the audiences can participate in both these two events in free of cost. That will be starting from 6 o'clock morning. Now, I am coming to the last program of this today's cultural event. That is the vote of thanks. I would like to request our administrative cum account officer Sri Akasha to come to the stage to deliver the vote of thanks.
उपक्रम NGOs का हो, उस सब में जब हम दृष्टि डालते हैं तो भोगवादी दर्शन, कंज्यूमरिज्म का जो एक दृष्टि है वो ज्यादा दिखता है। भोगवाद मैंने आपको उकसाएंगे, आप मेहनत करें, आप विकास करें, और विकास करके मेहनत करके जो कमाएंगे उस पैसे से जो है आप अपने सुख सुविधाओं को खरीदने के लिए उपयोग करें। और सुख सुविधाएं क्या है? 2 रोटी मिले, 1 मकान मिले छत ढकने के लिए, और वस्त्र मिले तन ढकने के लिए, उससे भी तो हो सकता था, लेकिन नहीं। तृष्णाओं को बढ़ा रहा है, तृष्णाओं को, हमारे अंदर जो तृष्णा है, सत्वा को जो बढ़ाने वाला है, ये तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन से तो ये बढ़ रहा है, और इसके बढ़ने से कभी सुख आज तक मिल नहीं सकता है। तृष्णा को तो तृष्णा में नहीं, जो हमारे इंद्रियां हैं, चक्षु है, श्रोत है, घ्राण है, जीव है, शरीर है, मन है, इनके अपने अपने विषय हैं। चक्षु का विषय रूप है, आंखों का विषय रूप है, कान का जो है शब्द है। तो इनको जो है ग्लोबलाइजेशन में मैंने आपको ऐसे ऐसे रूप, चाहे वो गैजेट्स के रूप में हो, चाहे वो सिनेमा के रूप में हो, चाहे वो फैशन के रूप में हो, उसको बढ़ा रहे हैं, उसको बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं। और आपको जो है दिन प्रतिदिन जो है समाज में टीवी के माध्यम से, एड के माध्यम से समझाया जाता है कि पहले जो एक जूते से जो है 3-4 साल काम चल सकता था, आज एक जूते से एक दिन भी आप काम नहीं चला सकते। कमरे के अंदर पहनने का दूसरा जूता होना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो समाज में जो है दोस्तों के सामने आप टिकेंगे नहीं। ऑफिस जाने का अलग ही जूता चाहिए आपके पास, अन्यथा जो है वो ये तो आप घर का जूता ही पहन के आ गए, घर का जूता, ऑफिस का जूता, फिर उसके बाद शाम को टहलने का दूसरा ही जूता। उसी तरह सब चीजें इस तरह से मैंने इसको बढ़ावा दे रहा है। आपको मतलब काम करना है तो किसके लिए? यही जो है इंद्रिय सुख के लिए। उसी तरह शब्दों में उलझा, उसी तरह जो है रस में उलझा रहा है, तरह तरह के व्यंजन जो है परोस रहे हैं। बाद में जो है जहां से वो उत्पन्न होता है वहां पर वो बैन लगा दिया जाता है कि इससे तो नुकसान हो रहा है, लेकिन हम लोग जो है उसमें फिर दौड़ पड़ते हैं। ये वैश्वीकरण का तस्वीर है। इस वैश्वीकरण से और यही वैश्वीकरण जो है, यही ग्लोबलाइजेशन जो है हमारे सोसाइटी को भी अपने प्रभाव में ला रहा है, हमारे धर्म को भी प्रभाव में ला रहा है, हमारा शिक्षण केंद्रों को भी प्रभाव में ला रहा है। अच्छा, एक बात फिर स्पष्ट करना चाहूंगा कि यहाँ धर्म संभाषण का जो है कार्यक्रम है और यहाँ में जो है उसके जो विरोधी बातें तमाम कह रहा हूँ, तो मित्रों स्वास्थ्य की व्याख्या नहीं हो पाएगी जब तक हम वो बीमारियों की बात नहीं करें कि ये बीमारी है, ये बीमारी है, ये बीमारी है, इस कारण से वो बीमारी है, तब जाकर के जो है उनको हटा देंगे तो स्वास्थ्य तो खुद ही आएगा। तो इसलिए मजबूरी है कि हम जो है धर्म विरोधी जितने भी तत्व हैं उनको पहचाने, अन्यथा जो है आज जो है भीड़ तंत्र हो गया है कि भीड़ चली जा रही है तो हम लोग भी दाएं बाएं देखते हैं कि सब इधर ही जा रहा है तो इधर ही कुछ होगा, तो बढ़ जाते हैं, चिंतन छोड़ दिया है। तो इसलिए जो है ये बीमारी का जिक्र करना मजबूरी है, तो इसको थोड़ा सा मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहूंगा पुनः आपसे संवाद करने के लिए। तो ये तृष्णा, अब तृष्णा को जो है बुद्ध ने जो है नदी समा, तन्हा नदी समा तृष्णा जो आपके सामने उन्हें रखा, मुझे बहुत ही अच्छा लगा। आप सबको प्रभावित किए होंगे। अब मैं यहाँ जो है ना उनके वक्तव्य पर यदि आपको कोई शंका हो तो आप उसका प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं। अब वो जरूर आपके शंकाओं का समाधान अवश्य करेंगे। धन्यवाद।
क्या हो रहा है? आणि झूम थे सर जोर आणि क्यों जीवा दिया जो मत चलो ला你是的当不是的对还是菜上来来
के लिए यूज किया जाता है। This is from my brother. This is the blue and the traditional, no? This is a traditional sword.
This is very costly. It ranges from 80 to 150.
क्या होता है? हमारा सर यहाँ भी 9-10 का उसमें एक टिबेट का एक प्रिंस गाना है, उसका जो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन वाला इस एरिया में आया, उस समय का
This sword is used by other communities also.
Shape is quite different, no?
Yeah.
Broadsword. He design वाला जो है.
Mainly because of the design.
The chief guest of today's cultural program. Next to the list, we have also invited Shri Rinchen Dorji, former chairman, Arunachal Pradesh Public Service Commission, as the guest of honor for today's cultural program. Shri Rinchen Dorji is also with us. I would like to request Shri Rinchen Dorji, please come to the stage to accept our felicitation. We have also invited the additional Deputy Commissioner of Dirang, Shri Dagbam Riva, as the special guest for today's cultural program. Shri Dagbam Riva sir is also with us. Now I would like to request Shri Dagbam Riva, please come to the stage to accept our felicitation. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I would like to request you to please take your seat, sir.
Good evening, Entashi Delek. Respected Chief Guest, Sri G.J. Shankarji, Major General and GOC 5 Mountain Division Rupa, and respected Rinchen Dorji sir, former chairperson APSC, and respected ADC.
Thank you. କାମନାର ବାଞ୍ଛା। ଉପମତି କଳାବତୀ କାମନାର ଚାରୁକୃତି ଦେହରେ ମୋ ପ୍ରଣୟର ବନ୍ୟା। ସୁରରୂପ ନାୟକ ମାରକାମ ସହାୟକ ବିଜେ ତିଥି ମଧୁଝରା କନ୍ୟା।
To stop her violence, reminded her that he, after all, was a seeker of peace and truth, and not certainly the pleasures of the senses.
Mahana
What is besides he? A man or an animal? His sparse hair white, his teeth fallen, his body bent and shrunk, his gait slow and labored. What is wrong with him, O Chandaka? Sorry spectacle of a man, his body covered with ugly sores, twitching and heaving constantly, hardly able to breathe. Why, oh why is this suffering, Chandaka? He is diseased and dying, O Prince. No one can help him. His time to die approaches swiftly. Illness strikes suddenly and randomly. The rich and the poor, you and me, anyone can become the helpless victim of infirmity. people sad and mourning this motionless body of a man who's been burnt to ashes in front of my very eyes? What is the meaning of this, O Chandaka? This is the spectre of death, O Prince, the final cessation of life. The inevitable end of life is death, as night must follow the day. Such will be your fate too one day, and your near and dear ones will never see you again. Such is the meaning of life and death. and sorrow, why is this man at peace? Why, O Chandrapur? Wherefore the smile on his face, the calm and tranquil posture? This man has conquered all desire, Prince. Since in this life it is desire and greed that causes all suffering and sorrow, this is a wandering monk who has relinquished all earthly desire. Hence he is full of the joy of unworldliness. His calm is profound and comes from within. जीवन की परिभाषा